Before we start, if you enjoy this story and would like to hear more, check out Discount Storytime's Patreon. You'll find a link to a no-strings-attached free story in the show notes. Now on with the show. Content warning for profanity, violence, drug use, gun violence, and adult themes. Well, hello, and welcome to Season 3 of Discount Storytime. We are starting off with Nos Trails, a superhero origin story because nobody is sick of those. Enjoy! Keegan. Born Keegan Derpshy Bilgs III, showed talent at a young age. His singing and dancing routines were the tops of the tops, and by the time he had graduated Professor B's School for Gifted Nitwits, he was well on his way to being part of the mega pop sensation, the immensely popular boy band Four Limp Dicks. When asked where the band came up with their name, these four shy little twerps said, well, because of, our dicks, they're so long we can't walk right, so we walk with a limp. You've been warned, ladies and dudes. We are the Limp Dicks. Although Four Limp Dicks started with flaccid record sales, their debut album's title song, I Was a Hard Man Before I Met You, sailed to the top of the charts for a record 8 weeks. Soon, they were getting sponsorships from pharmaceutical companies. And Keegan was riding high. Soon he was known not just for his trademark pelvis shimmy, but also for his trademark extravagant lifestyle. Seen partying most nights of the week with A-list celebrities, and eventually garnering enough fame to hang out with podcasters. That's right. Actual podcasters. And that's where our story begins. Keegan and the band just had another sellout concert in probably the largest city in America. You've been great, Des Moines! Thank you! Backstage, the boys planned their evening. Keegan toweled his sweat off and asked, "Who's ready to party?" The other band members, worn out from performing, looked at the floor. Somebody coughed. Paulie said, "Aw, gee whiz, Keegan. We're just so plumb tuckered out. We gave that show our all, what with Des Moines being the Paris of America and what such." Rango nodded and said, "Yeah, I wouldn't mind a nice hot bath and a good book." Gorge nodded in agreement. "Not every night has to be a drug-fueled sex jamboree. Sometimes it's nice to stay in and catch up on your podcasts, like Discount Storytime, now with bonus content on Patreon. That's patreon.com/discountstorytime. Oh man, podcasts, bathing, Discount Storytime now on Patreon. That's your idea of a good time? Keegan's nostrils flared in frustration. Somewhere a camera flashed. If you won't go party with me, then I'll go party with new friends by myself. And Keegan stormed off in a huff. Keegan, being popular, had no trouble finding a nightclub to dance the night away at. And, as usual, there was no shortage of beautiful women on his arm. But then he saw her, the most gorgeous woman ever. Her dark eyes and long eyelashes batted as she swished up to him. Even the other women, intimidated by her spectacular beauty, backed off. So, I hear you want to party. Like, why? Who told you? A little bird. A little party bird. Yeah, sounds about right. What's your name? My name is Rosie, and I think you're hot. Keegan grinned like a dope. You look thirsty. Here, have some water. She handed him a glass of bubbling green liquid that gave off a sulphurous musk. Oh, it smells, said Keegan. Nonsense. Just a glass of water for a big, strong party boy like you. Come on, drink up. You need to stay hydrated before... Before what? Before we... She kissed his neck and then turned, giving her hips a sultry sway with each step, only to look back, smile, and wink. Follow me, lover boy, but drink up first. The acrid drink gave off fumes that burned Keegan's eyes and nose, but water is only water after all, so he guzzled the foul liquid down and stumbled after this mysterious woman. She blew him a kiss before walking out the back exit into the dark alley. By the time Keegan made it to the alley, the mystery woman was already far away near the darkest part. He followed after her, but felt woozy, and the narrow walls of the alleyway kept bumping into him. Hey, stop that, he slurred to the walls. The mystery woman, Rosie, held out her hands and motioned Keegan to come to her. So sultry, so blurry, so... The next morning, Keegan awoke, not in his bed, or on the tour bus, or in a hotel room, or a dirty gas station toilet, or even a public library's filth-ridden section 100 to 109. He was in a bathtub, in ice, freezing. He shivered, but had no strength to move. Something was wrong, very wrong. Trying to maintain calm, he looked around. The room was dark, with grubby, blackened brick walls, and the only light a flickering bare light bulb. What the hell was going on? He peered into the surrounding darkness and found nothing, and nobody was around. His head ached, and his throat scratched. This wasn't just a hangover. He was used to those. Keegan began to suspect that he might have been drugged. He cleared his throat and said,
Hello? Hello? Is there anyone there?
What was wrong with his voice? Keegan breathed quickly, but not from nerves. No, this was all wrong. He was mouth breathing, just like the cretins who read books in sections 100 to 199 of public libraries. Keegan looked in the bathwater, and it was red. Blood. His blood. Panicked, Keegan scrambled out of the bathtub and onto the mildewy floor. His blood-stained clothes were soaked, cold, and heavy. Frightened and weak, it took several attempts for him to stand up.
Hello! Help me! Help me!
The flickering light bulb went out for a moment. He turned around in the darkness, and when the light came back on, Keegan screamed.
Ah!
For someone else was staring back at him, also screaming. A moment later, he realized that he was looking into a dusty mirror. At least it looked like him. I mean, he looked horrible, but still, something else. Something was wrong. Slowly, cautiously, he walked up to the mirror and wiped away the grime and spider webs. He was facing away from the light bulb, and shadow darkened his face. His hair was a mess. His eyes were bloodshot. He checked his teeth and stuck out his tongue, but overall, pretty normal. What was it? He tilted his head up to check his chin and neck, and that's when Keegan saw the problem. The fleshy underside of his nose. Smooth skin covered the bottom where there should be holes, should be nostrils.
They took my nostrils. Somebody took my nostrils.
Later that morning, Keegan sat in an emergency department bed. His world had collapsed. That mysterious woman hadn't just stolen his nostrils. She'd stolen his singing voice, his way of life, and his nostrils. Sitting in a chair next to him was the world's premier nostril surgeon, Dr. Nostrilia. She was called in by the record company to see Keegan immediately. Something had to be done to keep the band together, to keep sales going. The surgeon said,
"I know this is hard to hear, but I'm afraid there aren't many options at this time."
Why? Why would someone do this?
"I'm afraid it's a matter of supply and demand. You see, a healthy pair of nostrils, and better yet, celebrity nostrils, can go for millions, if not billions, on the black market. Shady, underground deals with shady surgeries. Oh, it all makes me sick."
Billions? They can sell celebrity nostrils for billions?
Keegan was both horrified and amazed.
"Yes, they make a lot of money and don't care about the horrendous freakazoids that get left behind. I mean, no offense."
What happens now? Can you fix it?
I'll be frank, there are no good treatment options for someone who has lost their nostrils. The scientific community has been working fervently on this problem for decades, and although we have made some advancements, we are still far behind where we need to be. I have a colleague at Johns Hopkins that has designed an iron nostril, but it is still in the experimental stage and requires massive amounts of nuclear energy just to run. The other option is to be placed on the waiting list for a matching nostril donor. Given your celebrity status, you may find a willing nostril donor faster than most. But the honest truth is, even if you find a matching donor, the surgery is very high risk, and the rejection rate for transplanted nostrils is up to 80%.
Oh, fuck.
Indeed. If only you had your nostrils back, I could put them back in, and maybe, I'm sorry that I don't have more to offer at this time.
I understand. Thank you, doctor.
Before leaving, she gave him her business card and a pamphlet, Your New Freakazoid Life Without Nostrils. Keegan sat and thought. Iron nostrils? Transplants? Why him? Why? For money? Well, no. He would not become another victim. Keegan sat up in his bed. Somewhere out there were his nostrils, and someone had them, and someone would pay. 6 months later. Keegan Derpsey Bilges III no longer existed. He had ditched the band and his former identity. His whole life he left behind, and now Keegan went by a new alias, Jean-Pierre Frenchman. He traded in his old life for one in the shadowy underworld of black market nostril dealers. Nobody suspected that Jean-Pierre Frenchman was anyone other than a wealthy man of means and a nostrils aficionado. At first, all leads went cold. It seemed he would never see his precious nostrils again. But then fate lent him a hand. A second-rate nostril dealer, a small fish, mentioned a certain set of celebrity nostrils would be auctioned by Mr. Blowhard, a premium dealer of select nostrils. It was rumored that a never-before-seen set of pop singer nostrils, acquired 6 months ago, would be for sale. Keegan, or I should say Jean-Pierre Frenchman, was hot on the trail, the Nos Trail. He easily acquired entry into the exclusive auction. At this auction, he would have his nostrils back or die trying. The auction was held in a seedy warehouse in the seedy warehouse district. Keegan, or I should say Jean-Pierre Frenchman, arrived early to explore the auction items. Damn, he didn't see his nostrils anywhere. "Beautiful, aren't they?" said the most gorgeous woman ever. Very much like the woman Rosie that drugged him months ago. But this woman had a different hair color. Her dark eyes and long lashes batted as she swished up to him. Even the other women, intimidated by her spectacular beauty, backed off. "So I hear you want nostrils."
Zoot-a-lors! Who are you?
"This is a nostrils auction."
Yes, that sounds about right. What's your name? Is it by chance Rosie?
No, it's, Posey.
Phew!
Keegan grinned like a dope. "You look thirsty. Here, have some water." She handed him a glass of bubbling green liquid. He stared at it cautiously. "It's just a glass of water for a big, strong man, Frenchman like you. Come on, drink up. You need to stay hydrated before
Before what?
we..." She kissed his neck and then turned, giving her hips a sultry sway with each step, only to look back, smile, and wink. "Follow me, lover boy, but drink up first." The drink gave off fumes that burned Keegan's eyes, but water is only water after all, so he guzzled the foul liquid down and stumbled after this mysterious woman. She blew him a kiss before walking out of the showroom and down some stairs. By the time Keegan made it to the stairway, the mystery woman was already near the darkest bottom steps. He followed after her, but felt woozy, and the narrow walls of the stairway kept bumping into him.
Hey, stop that.
He slurred to the walls. The mystery woman, Posy, held out her hands and motioned Keegan to come to her. So sultry, so blurry, so... Keegan awoke to find his pelvis shackled in a pelvis shackle. Before him stood his nasal nemesis, Blowhard, large and bald in a white suit and furrowed brow. Blowhard looked down at helpless Keegan in his pelvis shackle and smiled. From this angle, Keegan could look up and see that, although these two men were nothing alike, they had one thing in common: a lack of nostrils. Blowhard spoke in a terrifying baritone.
Did you think you could fool me, Mr. John Pierre Frenchman? Or should I say, Keegan Derpsy Bills the Third?
Zootolores!
Yes, I knew it was you. You were getting too close, so I laid this trap. Of course, it wasn't all a lie. Say, do you remember these?
Blowhard clapped his large hands, and an assistant rolled in a cart holding a bubbling tank of blue liquid, and inside the tank, floating helplessly, Keegan's nostrils.
Zootolores!
I thought you may remember them. Do you know why I took your nostrils?
I don't care. Why?
Blowhard pulled up a chair and sat before Keegan, studying his prey.
When I was a small child, my family was poor. We didn't have much and scraped by for every meal. Eventually, each of us had to make sacrifices to keep the family going, and there was no shortage of underground body parts dealers. So we sold a spleen here, an appendix there. It broke my parents' hearts to have to ask their children to sell their body parts to help make ends meet. I was just a schoolboy when it was my turn to contribute. But we needed the money for our cat's harpsichord lessons. That cat loved playing harpsichord. Do you know how expensive it is to train a cat to play harpsichord?
Keegan looked up.
Very?
Yes, very expensive. And also, my parents begged me to not only sell a useless body part like my liver, but I was gifted with a beautiful pair of nostrils, not unlike yours.
At this, Blowhard looked at the floating nostrils in the tank tenderly.
So I sold them. But we could never afford to buy them back. And the kids at school, they taunted my new voice. They gave me the moniker Blowhard because I could no longer blow my nose. I kept that name as a reminder of how I survived their cruelty. Do you know what it is like when mean kids ask you, "What's that smell?" They knew I didn't know. They knew I didn't know. And As I grew, it only got worse. When everyone around you is snorting drugs and you just have to watch. No, you don't know that shame. Because you were blessed. Not just with nostrils, but with perfect nostrils like mine. But you got to keep yours. At least until I saw you in a music video. It was one of those, the camera angles shot upwards. Yeah, I could see your perfect, precious nostrils and that arrogant, smug look on your face, as if you were mocking me. But now I shall mocking you.
Blowhard waved his hand, and a team of doctors and nurses walked in, dressed in operating room attire, and began setting up.
I'm not selling your nostrils. I will have them all to myself. And you get to watch your perfect nostrils being transplanted into my nose.
Keegan howled.
You monster! I'll get you for this.
Good luck. That pelvis shackle is escape-proof.
As Keegan shook with rage, his body started doing something else, something he had practiced since his youth, something only he could do, that he had trademarked. Keegan did his pelvis shimmy. As his pelvis shimmied, it matched the same frequency of the locks on the pelvis shackle. The nostril surgeons had taken Keegan's nostrils out of the tank and were carefully prepping them. The pelvis shackle began to loosen, just a little at first. Blowhard, at first intently focusing on the surgeons, looked over and his face paled.
No, don't! He's escaping!
But it was too late. Keegan had shimmied his pelvis free and dove for his nostrils. The nurse, holding his nostrils, was taken by surprise and dropped them. Everything fell into slow motion. Keegan dove for his nostrils, who were now flaring in panic. Blowhard, more vengeful than ambitious, screamed,
You will never have them!
And pulled out his revolver. He fired. And as the nostrils drifted down towards Keegan's outstretched hands, bullets blew holes in the nostrils, destroying them. Clumps of frayed and damaged nostrils flopped onto Keegan's palms.
If I can't have those perfect nostrils, nobody can.
Blowhard smirked. Keegan raged back.
This isn't over.
No, this is over. I can always find nostrils, but you only have one life.
Blowhard pointed his revolver at Keegan and pulled the trigger. He was out of both bullets and patience. Blowhard threw down a smoke bomb and disappeared. Well, mostly disappeared. Because it was one of those discount smoke bombs, and the smoke didn't last all that long, so Keegan saw Blowhard running out of the room. He held on to what was left of his nostrils, of his dreams. In that moment, Keegan vowed to seek justice. Not just for himself, that was too late, but for everyone else who had their nostrils stolen. On a rooftop spire crouched a dark figure, a new hero for this city. He looked down at everyone going about their daily lives and knew he would be their protector. Wherever Blowhard and his band of nostril-stealing goons would be, he would be there too. He was no longer Keegan Dirpsy Bilges III or John Pierre Frenchman. He was Nostril Venger, Nostril Man, Mr. Knows-It-All, Nostalgia? As he workshopped his hero name, a flying pigeon smacked into his face.
Ow, 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 ow! Get off me! Come on, get off me!
I hope you enjoyed this story. We will be back next week with a different superhero story. And until then, be sure to play nice with others, be super duper kind to yourself, and as always, remember to laugh. Bye. If you are enjoying the show, please consider supporting Discount Storytime. You can do that by telling others about the show. Podcasts depend on word of mouth for growth, so this is perhaps the most important. Writing in. I love hearing from listeners about what the show is doing well and especially how the show can improve. Click on the link in the show notes or email me at mail@discountstorytime.com. And finally, Discount Storytime is on Patreon, with bonus content for subscribers. A free story, The Fall of Stumbly, is available now. Check it out at patreon.com/discountstorytime, or the link is in the show notes. And thank you so much for being a listener. Bye!